I'm going to ask Mr. Moore to unmute himself,
There we go.
and they're all yours.
All right. Hi, everyone. I hope that you're having a good day so far. Happy Monday to you. As Julie said, my name's Michael Moore, and I am the purchasing manager for Pompeian Olive Oil right here in Baltimore. So what I do is I, all day long, buy packaging material that we use to put the olive oil from our tanks onto the grocery store shelves, so your moms and your dads can purchase it. Okay, so I buy things like labels and boxes and caps. That's what I do all day long. We have other people that buy the oil, and we have other people that buy certain other things that are used in the plant. But what I'm doing all day long is buying packaging material. And I've been with Pompeian in January. I will have been with Pompeian for 9 years. So I've been there a little while. And in those 9 years, I've learned a whole lot about olive oil and about how it's made and how it's packaged and how it's distributed and even how it's used, because I didn't really know much about olive oil before I started working there. And one thing I didn't know is that Pompeian has been in the same facility in Baltimore for over 100 years. So that's a good long time to be in one spot. And I think it's safe to say that we're not going anywhere. We've got so much time invested in that building that we're just not leaving anytime soon or ever. So we are a Baltimore institution, and we aim to stay that way. So what I'm going to do is I've got a presentation here. Now, normally, we would be in the plant in what we call our visitor center. And it's a big room where we have all kinds of gatherings. And we love to welcome students into that room. And we make a presentation that we show on a big screen. And all around the room, we have artifacts and history that's connected to olive oil. We have some oil lamps because in ancient times, they used to burn olive oil for light indoors. And we have oil lamps that date back over 4,500 years. So they are very old and they're very cool to see. But unfortunately, we're not in the plant today. So what we're going to do is sort of a virtual tour and a virtual presentation over the computer here. And I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm going to show you a few videos, and I'm going to talk about what we do. And then afterwards, if you have some questions, and I hope you do, I think you're going to, because you're going to see some fun things, and maybe I'm not going to explain something that you really want to know about. So when I'm done talking, then we'll open it up for questions. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is share my screen so that you can see the presentation. Okay, I hope that everyone can see this. Let's get rid of that. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So at Pompeian, we call ourselves the olive oil people. And the reason we call ourselves the olive oil people is because we are very passionate about olive oil and all of the good things that it can provide to people. So this is a picture of just some of the 75,000 olive growers that we have in Spain. These gentlemen work the fields in Spain for Pompeian. So what I'm going to share with you today is I'm going to introduce you to the olive oil people. That's the people in Baltimore, the people in Spain. Also going to talk about Pompeian, our vision and our mission. I'll give you some history about Pompeian, talk about how we harvest olives and then how we make olive oil, and talk about the fact that we have been in Baltimore for over 100 years. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is show you this video and give you an introduction. So watch here.
We cannot hear the video.
All right, so that's a little short video that we did over in Spain. Those olive groves that you saw there are the groves that we have in Spain. We have over 75,000 olive growers in Spain, and they have, between all of them, about 150 million trees. So that is a lot of olives coming off of a lot of trees, and it's cared for by people that are directly connected to Pompeian. So a lot of people don't know, but over 50% of the olive oil in the world is produced in Spain. So I want to talk a little bit about our vision and mission. We are olive oil people at our core. With quality as our focus, we cherish each harvest and care for each drop. Olive oil and its potential to bring people health and happiness is what inspires us. And we share our love and passion for olive oil with the world through each and every bottle that we produce. And these aren't just words that we say. We really are very passionate about making olive oil and producing it properly and bringing it to the consumer, because it is a very, very healthy oil to use in cooking. So here's a little bit of history about Pompeian. Now what a lot of people don't know, and I'm going to share this with you, Pompeian actually started down in Washington, D.C. in 1906. It was started by a gentleman who had the company over in Italy. He had started it in Italy many, many years earlier, and he saw a need and a market for olive oil in the US. So he brought his company to Washington, D.C. And he opened up a little distribution facility, and he quickly realized that he needed to bottle the oil in the US as opposed to bringing it already packaged from Italy. So he moved up to Baltimore and moved into the building that we currently reside in on Pulaski Highway. If you've ever gone east on Pulaski Highway, about a mile east of Johns Hopkins, our plant is right there on the right-hand side. We've been in that building since about 1909 or 1910. And in 1930, the company was sold to the Hofberger family, and you may recognize that name as the owner of the Baltimore Orioles for many years. So same owner that had the Baltimore Orioles baseball team owned Pompeian for many, many years. Then in 1975, it was sold to a Spanish family. And then in 2009, the DeVico family from Morocco purchased the brand and started to really expand the operations here in the US. Now we're in the same building, but we started to expand in the front of the building, in the back of the building. We added on to the original structure and started to expand our operations. And then in 2015, we partnered with a cooperative called the DCOOP Group in Spain, and they're the largest olive oil cooperative in the world. They produce more than 50% of the olive oil that's consumed throughout the world, and we are partners with them. So we always have plenty of olive oil to package. And then in 2021, basically our latest innovation in the many innovations that we've had over the years, changing from glass to plastic and different things, we have started to package all of our olive oil in green bottles. And the green bottles have a UV inhibitor. And for those of you that are into science, you know that UV stands for ultraviolet rays. And ultraviolet rays can actually degrade your olive oil. So we've decided to put we've had our extra virgin olive oil in green bottles for years, but now we have our regular olive oil and our light taste olive oil in green bottles as well to protect them. So it's just one of the innovations that we have done, one of many over the years, to keep Pompeian at the top of the quality heap, so to speak. And speaking of being top of the heap, we are #1 in extra virgin olive oil sales in the US. We're #1 in organic extra virgin olive oil. #1 in grapeseed oil. A lot of people don't know about grapeseed oil, but grapeseed oil is a very healthy oil. It also has what we call a high smoke point. So you can heat it very, very hot and it won't smoke. It won't burn your food. A lot of people use it for stir frying. And we're also #1 in balsamic and red wine vinegars. So in the 9 years that I've been with the company, and even before that, we have continued to grow every year. A lot of companies in business today can't say that they grow every year or that they grow by X percentage, but Pompeian continues to grow year after year. So that's another reason why we're staying in Baltimore, because we know what we're doing and it works and we continue to grow. So a lot of people think that most olive oil comes from Italy. So you can see here on the screen where Italy is, but I've already told you that most of the olive oil that's produced in the world actually comes from Spain. So we source our olive oil from all over the world. We source it from Spain, of course. We source from Italy. We get some from Greece, from Turkey, from Tunisia, from Portugal, from Morocco. We also, in South America, get it from Chile and Argentina. And one of the reasons why we get oil from Chile and Argentina is because one of Pompeian's main selling points is that we're always bottling fresh oil. So in order to do that, you know, the growing season for oil or for olives and the harvesting season for olives in the Northern Hemisphere is different than in the Southern Hemisphere. Because in the Northern Hemisphere right now, we're coming out of summer and getting ready to go into fall. In the Southern Hemisphere, they're coming out of winter and getting ready to go into spring. So there's always olives being grown and harvested in South America certain times of the year, and in North America and the Northern Hemisphere and other times of the year. So we can always source fresh oil no matter what the time of year is. And we bring all of that oil from these various places to our plant in Baltimore and also our plant in California. We have a plant in Montebello, California, which is just outside of Los Angeles. And we have a plant there that we bring all this oil to from these various places. We also happen to have about 1,000 acres, maybe more, maybe it's 4,000 acres, sorry, of olive trees that we planted out in California. The conditions are very good in California for growing olives in Southern California. So we have a tremendously big farm there, and we grow olives. We started harvesting them about 4 years ago. It takes about 4 years for an olive tree to produce olives that can be harvested. So we started harvesting 3 or 4 years ago. And so now we actually source from the US as well. So I told you about we harvest by season in countries and hemispheres. And this is just a chart showing that a little more graphically, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's 1,000 acres. I'm sorry. It's 1,000 acres that we have out in California. It's called the Sunrise Olive Ranch. And we have over 100,000 olive trees out there. Now, a lot of people don't know that olive trees can grow very old and still continue to produce quality olives. There was a tree in that presentation that I showed you earlier that was probably about 2,000 years old. You can have a 2,000-year-old tree and still get some great olives off of it. We don't have anything quite that old just yet, but if the conditions continue to be strong in California, like we think that they will, these trees could end up being 2,000 years old and still producing olives in the future. So a lot of people wonder, how do we get oil from that fruit that grows from the tree? Olive is a fruit because it has a pit in it, it has a seed in it. So let's talk a little bit about how we do that.
Michael, we cannot hear anything. There is no volume.
We cannot hear either. And if there's a way to maybe open up to some questions soon, that would be great. Just in the interest of time that we have marketed for this, allotted for this.
So you couldn't hear anything from that video?
No.
Oh. Could you hear the first video?
Hear you, but not a video.
Okay. Well, do you want to go ahead and open up to questions, or do you want me to continue with?
You could open up to questions. That would be probably really great if that's all right.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to stop sharing, and then there we go. All right.
Okay, so yeah, we have some questions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, your next guy. Nicholas, do you want to go ahead and ask a question?
I want to ask, how do olive trees, how do those little plants last way longer than any human says? I mean, yes, humans can live over 100 years old. Yes, and I'm very, very long. But olives can live up to like 2,000 years old.
I know, that's a long time, isn't it? It's a really good question, and I'm not sure how they do it. It's a very hardy tree, and unless it gets a disease or someone comes along and cuts it down, it just doesn't wear out. So it just keeps on growing, and it keeps on producing olives year after year. And the quality of the olives stays very good as well. So I don't really have a great answer for you there, other than the fact that they're a very sturdy, hardy tree. Now, sometimes there are diseases that affect these trees, but there's lots of ways to combat those diseases, just like when a human gets a disease. And the trees just keep on bouncing back, and if they're in the right conditions, they can keep on living.
Great. Let's see, Stella, do you want to unmute and ask your question? Stella? Yeah. Go ahead.
How does it get saucy and drizzly?
How do we get the oil?
No, how does it get saucy and drizzly?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
She means how does olive oil get its texture?
Okay. Well, it comes basically from the olive itself. It's an oil like the other oils that you might have in your pantry there. So and different olives might have different textures. They certainly have different flavors, but the way it turns into a liquid is actually part of what that video that I was trying to show you is. It goes through a crushing process. So we crush the olives, and as you crush the olives, just like if you were to crush an apple, you'll get all this juice out of it. So we crush the olives and we get a lot of juice out of it. And what that's called is actually a paste. And then once that paste is separated from the liquid from the solids, that's when we get the oil. So that's when you get olive oil.
How about Elena? You had a question?
What's the difference between all of the oils?
All the different olive oils? I think that's the different olive oils. Okay. So we have what's called extra virgin olive oil. We have virgin olive oil. Then we have your standard olive oil, and then light taste olive oil. So the difference between all of them is an extra virgin olive oil is what we call the first pressing of the olive oil. It's cold pressed, which means it's done at room temperature. It's not heated because sometimes heat can be used to extract oil. So there's no heat involved, there's no chemicals involved. It's just strictly squishing the olives and getting that oil out of it. So that's extra virgin olive oil. Then you have virgin olive oil, which again is using a lot of the same processes, but it's a second pressing. When you press the olives for the first time and you get that olive out, there's still oil to get the oil out. There's still oil in that paste. So you can press it again, you can separate it again, and you have virgin olive oil. Then you have your standard refined olive oil, which maybe there was some sort of taste defect in the oil. So we take all those defects out and we're left with just strictly oil. Doesn't really have any flavor, but it still has all of the health benefits of olive oil. So that's what we would call just olive oil. And then there's extra light olive oil. Olive oil has some extra virgin mixed with it, so it gives it a little flavor. The light taste olive oil is an oil that has no flavor, and it's very useful in baking and things like that when you want to lower your fat content and your bad oil content, and you can use olive oil to do that without adding any flavor to it.
Thank you. Kai has a question. Go ahead, Kai. What is it? What is the
Best thing about olive oil.
He said, what is the best thing about olive oil in your opinion?
The best thing about olive oil is it's a very, very healthy oil and it's very tasty. So it's a great way to add flavor to your food without adding bad ingredients like fats or sugar or different things that the cholesterol and stuff like that comes with some of the other oils. So it's cholesterol free. It's it's just a very, very healthy, lots of vitamins in it. So I like the fact that it tastes really good and it's good for me.
That's great. So we have time for about one more question, and we have one in the chat. It says, how are avocado or pistachio oils made?
Well, that's a good question. We don't really, we do sell some avocado oil, but we do that in a spray and we don't mill that. We have someone else take care of that, but it's basically done the same way as olive oil is. And grapeseed oil, all the different oils are basically done the same way. It's either through pressure or it could be through a heat or a chemical extraction, but most of them is pressure. You get that little grapeseed, or you get that avocado, or you get that whatever it is you're trying to get oil out, and you squeeze it really hard under pressure, and the oil comes out. And then you might filter it, you might refine it, you might do some things with it, but that's basically it's all the same process.
Well, thank you very much for being our first live Ask the Expert. Thank you to everyone for attending. We look forward to doing more. And everyone that attended today, will send the videos and some follow-up activities for our friends at Pompeian. So thank you so very much. It was
Thank you
together.
Thank you for allowing us to do this with you. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.